Hello, am I audible? Yeah, let's start. So, before going to what is Splunk, right, how our organization will be. So, let us assume like this is one organization. Okay. In this organization, it's like, let's assume like it is CTS. Okay. Here, you will be having a number of projects. This is the project one, like this. It will be having a number of projects. Okay, now it is having something like project one, two, three, four, five, six projects. Okay, and each project will have some servers. Okay, they will be having different environments like prod environment, development environment, and testing environment, and something like support environment. So each environment will have it will be having something like prod environment, which is having something like 30 servers. Development environment will be having something like 20 servers. Testing environment will be having something like some 20 servers. For troubleshooting the issues, whatever we have in prod, no, the support will be having some environment which is having something like 30 servers. So think in a case like this, I'm having multiple project and each projects are having multiple environments, and this and each environment is having some multiple servers. Altogether, if you take one project, I'm having some 50, 70 and 100 servers I'm having. So yeah, so in our environment, right, we are having some 100 servers in one project. So it is hard for any person, like either it can be a developer or it can be a tester or it can be a support guy, to troubleshoot the issue whatever it comes, whenever it comes in this 100 servers. Like that, if I'm having some 6 projects, right, here I have to look into this. If support guy is there and he has to look into this 600 projects, 600 servers are there. If there is any issue, he has to look into, by logging in manually, he has to look into the each and every server and he has to check. So which is a tough job. Now, as I mentioned in my example, each and every organization or a business, it will be having like large number of servers. Okay, so in our example here, I'm having around like if for 6 project, for each project I'm having 100 servers. For 6 projects, there will be some 600 servers. It is okay, and each server generates a data. So there are what are different types of servers? Actually, there are different types of servers. Like you will be having something like Active Directory, you will be having Linux machines, you will be having Windows machines, you will be having some application servers, you will be having databases, you will be having like each server. There will be something like Active Directory, there will be LDAP directory. Okay, so and there are multiple competitors, right? If you take Active Directory in Linux, also we will be having a directory server. Okay, and Apache has Active Directory Studio or something they had. So each vendor is coming up with some new product in this competitive market, and each generates different types of data. If you take application server, the same operation can be done by Apache. Okay, VAS server it can be done, or it can be done by the JBoss server. Okay, there will be different types of application servers as well. So each server generates some data. Okay, the goal is to monitor these large amounts of data that is being generated by these thousands of servers. If an organization is having some 1,000 server or like 20,000 servers, okay, if it is a CTS, it is having some 20,000 servers, or a Flipkart, they are having some 20,000 or 30,000 servers, right? The goal of the admin or a developer or support guy, right, they have to monitor these logs. Even the security analyst also have to monitor, like how, even the hacker also, what he will do, hacker will come and out of these 10,000 servers, he will take control of one server and he will penetrate into the network. Correct. So the goal of the like security analyst also is to monitor these servers and make sure like no one enters into the system. Okay, now one thing is clear, the goal is to monitor, but what we will be monitoring? Basically we will be monitoring the logs. This is typical log. Okay, it is just one snippet of one line. From this what we will be getting is, here this is the IP address, this is the timestamp on which the transaction happened, and what is the method, what is the action he is doing, whether he is fetching something or he is posting something. And if you see here, right, this is the timestamp, this is the post method, and he is performing something like he's adding some, this is a retail application where he's adding some, the action is add to cart, and he's adding some item, and the product ID is something like this, and this is the session ID, and the transaction is success. and it completed in some 553 milliseconds, and this is the end point he has hit. So with one snippet itself, I am getting so much information. Means if I know each person will be logging in from a different IP. Okay, if you are logging from Amazon, if you access it from your mobile, you will be having different IP. If you have access it from your home, you will be having a different IP. If you access it from your office, you will be having a different IP. So at any point of time, if I have a cumulative data, I can get the number of users who are logged into the system. Okay, and like this, some 50k transactions happened. Now I will be using this field, action field. I will be able to know what are the actions that are being performed. Means how many has added the items to cart and how many has purchased. Means a business analyst or a business guy, he can sit and once he parses these logs, no, he will be able to generate some data like how many people have added the data to the cart and how many people have purchased. Got it? So from these logs are very powerful and we will get lot of information. So like during big billion day or something, right, you will be having some 2 days sale. Post 2 days sale, they will be giving you one metric like within this 24 hours we have sold these many goods. Okay, if they take this as action and if they calculate what are the items that are being sold now, they will get that number. Okay, now we will understand what is Splunk. Basically, Splunk is a proprietary tool which is used to collect, search and analyze and visualize the machine generated data. Okay, here as I mentioned in one project, I am having one application server. Okay, these are the multiple servers. Okay, this machine is present in AWS. This is present in my Linux machine, where you will be having something like app. The architecture is something like this: app 1, app 2, can you go on please? Okay, so here this is my internet. From internet, no, the person will whenever user access the application, no, it will go to the AWS. Okay, from this AWS, right, what will happen, right, the like your application, your DB server is present in your on premises. Okay, you haven't kept your DB in the cloud. So normally they will be having that for a retail application, for an Netflix or whatever, no, or if it is a e-cart application also, they won't host that DB where your credit card information and all those will be present. Credit card information and your addresses and your phone numbers, they won't store it in the cloud. So they will be keeping that in your on premises. Okay, so once the transactions comes here, right, it will go to some application server which is present, which is called as app 2, and there will be some middleware or another application. Let us assume this is for mobile. Okay, you have two applications. This is for processing electronics, this is for fashion. Okay, and you will be having the DB over here. Okay, now in the type of architecture, If you want, whenever a user logins, if his session fails or if he is unable to do a transaction, right, you have to check your logs either in this and this. There are four components which you want to check. But if it is as this is present in AWS, there is a chance of auto scaling. Auto scaling means the applications will be doubled, the instances will be doubled. You won't have only one server, right? You will be having multiple servers. So like that your infrastructure increases. So in order to find nail down an issue, it will be a problem. So what Splunk will come when Splunk will come into picture is there will be one component called indexer. Okay, what Splunk will do, right? Splunk will try to, it will collect all the data from your sources, whether it can be AWS or in on-premises, or it can be a application server or a DB server or anything. What Splunk will do, right? Splunk will get the data from these multiple sources and it will collect and store in something called as a bucket. Okay, normally, right, you will be having a database where the data is stored, but here and each database will have some database name. Whenever you create a MySQL server or a Oracle server, you will be having a database. In that server you can create multiple databases, right, using like create database command like that. But Splunk won't have any DB as such. Even though it is storing logs, it will be storing the logs in the flat file system, and the data is stored in directories. The directory is called as buckets. And like database, right, you will be having something like index is equal to project 1. So whenever in my Splunk UI, whenever I give something like project 1, what will happen, right? Index is equal to project 1. The logs related to AWS or the application which process this electronics request or JBoss request, or which are related to fashion or some DB server, right? All will be populated. Okay. So, and you can store the data either 3 months, 6 months, or 8 months, or 1 year. It is based on your need, based on your business requirement. Normally in application server, right, you will be having something like 100 GB or like 500 GB disk space. Okay, and rollover will happen. But in Splunk, no, once the data reaches the Splunk, right, you can store this data and you can revisit the data after 6 months or 1 year. It is something like a, the logs will be getting appended. So if I down the line, what happened, right, I got one new issue. Okay, in prod I had one new issue. Now I want to know, my manager has asked me, tell me whether this issue we have seen in your testing environment or in development environment or in production environment in prior. So if we have this log retention periods, no, you can directly search for those string and we can see if it is occurred. You can tell them like, okay, this occurred some 6 months back or 2 years back, and what is the what they have done during that time. That RCA can also be done. Till now, any doubt? So so once the data gets stored here, right? So there will be like two roles. Okay. Okay. Here, what will happen, right? The data is stored in something like a bucket. This bucket is nothing but a simple directory. And once the data is present here, okay, once the data is present here, no, what we can do, right? We can get the data using, there will be something like search processing language. Using the search processing language, you can get and you can write the queries. Okay, that we will discuss. So basically what the Splunk will do, right, it will gather the data from application sensors, devices or IT infrastructure, and and business. So basically beauty of the Splunk is it monitors everything. It will monitor it, it will get the data from servers, Active Directory, Windows applications, radio frequency devices, and like virtual machines, sensors, databases, mainframes, and networks and applications here. Okay, so basically 98 or 99% of our IT infrastructure will be having this one, correct? It will be having this one only. So the Splunk can get the data from these servers. So I think, yeah. So the Splunk users means I told you know already, like support team will be using this for production environment. Security team will be also using it for detecting the possible attacks. How means like if there is any attack, no, there will be like number of retimes. If someone wants to try to enter into the network, he will be doing multiple retries. Yeah. So if there any failure attempts, like normally on a typical day, the trend of last 6 months or last 1 year is you have seen something like there are only 10 login failures per minute, but suddenly you are seeing per minute some 40, 30 login failures. So then you can configure, there will be some alerts feature in Splunk. So if you put a threshold value, if the value reaches some beyond some 10, it will automatically send a mail to the corresponding teams. The Splunk will be also used for auditing purpose. Now, if you take financial institutions, like if you take MasterCard and Visa, they will be like a merchant. So they will be interacting with multiple banks across the globe. No, you will be having some banks from India, from US, from UK. So this Visa, MasterCard. So for them, right, if there is any fraud happened, they want the logs to troubleshoot or investigate, right? Any payment failed. If you see the distribute period also will be like 30 days or 40 days for some frauds or something. So during that time, in order to investigate and all those, right, you need these logs. So there will be some standards that is set by something like PCI, SOC, and HIPAA. These are the like log governance bodies. So they will be keeping some standards. So there are some Splunk competitors as well, like LogDNA, Elasticsearch, Sumo Logic, and SolarWinds Logly. Most of the nine market is captured by Splunk and Elasticsearch. Okay, these two are the leaders, Splunk and Elasticsearch. So actually, if you see the career paths, the like you will be having something like Splunk admin. As I mentioned in my diagram, right, you will be having some source system. The logs needs to be sent to Splunk. So he will be doing that configuration. I told you here. If I want to connect this system to here, means I should do some, there will be some agent that will be present here and the data should be coming here. So he is responsible for maintaining that infrastructure. So he will be configuring like what logs to be sent. In one system also I will be having a number of logs. I will be having some 30 or 40 variety of logs, out of which I need only 5 or 6 logs to be which are critical for my application. 4 or 5 logs are critical. Okay, so these logs only I will be shipping to the Splunk. Okay, so that is the role of the Splunk admin. Splunk developer means once the data is present, no, he is responsible for preparing the dashboards. Okay, he will be preparing the dashboards and like alerts. Okay, and the reports. So you should have something, some knowledge on this SPL, XML, and some like Splunk UI configurations. Okay, and in smaller companies, what will have, right? They won't hire specifically Splunk admin and developer. They will be hiring one person. He will be doing both the work. if you take other roles, right, other roles like business analyst, support, admin, or a developer, or a tester, or a security guy. So in their daily life, right, a business analyst is there. In my first example I have told, if I want to see how many products are sold, here I have shown, no? If I let us assume like this is the price. So if I have sold some 10K products in particular hour, if I summate all these numbers, okay, I will be getting the total revenue per that hour. So that is where the business analyst is needed, or a business guy. Support team, they want to troubleshoot. Admin guy is there. Admin guy means he will be working on some Linux installations and all those. So he is doing some configurations, and it is a cluster mode configuration. Means whenever cluster mode is means, instead under load balancer you will be having some multiple servers. Server 1, server 2, server 3, server 4, server 5. So whenever he is doing with Ansible or anything, right, in one shot everything will be updated. Okay, so if for that correctness, right, he instead of logging into every server, so he can directly check the logs. Same for developer, is if he is doing some unit testing, or if he is configuring something, if for troubleshooting, developer or tester needs this. So where we will get this Splunk is, we'll go through some. Okay, I will give before going to this, right, I will give you this one. So Splunk will be having multiple components. It is not single server. Okay, like web server or an application server. It is not like only one server. Splunk will be having like multiple components. If you see here, this is only the Splunk infrastructure. The Splunk infrastructure, I told you, no, there will be one role called Splunk admin. Okay, so if you see here, no, this is the user. Here I am the user. I am a developer or a tester. Basically, I will be hitting the first will come from bottom. Okay, so here I am having multiple applications. Okay, there are like multiple applications. So as I mentioned, we have to pull the data from multiple source systems. In source systems, right, there will be a lightweight agent that will be installed. That is called as a universal forwarder. So it is a separate package that is being installed in your operating system to send logs from your application to the indexer. So this is what I showed. Splunk will be having one component called as an indexer. So here the data from this is the universal forwarder tier. Universal forwarder tier is something like this is the tier where your applications resides. Means your application server where you are running. You will install one RPM or one package, and you will do some configuration. After that, logs will start pumping into these indexers. Okay, now my organization is having some 50K or like 10K servers. I'm having some 10K servers. Means 10,000 servers I'm having. If you take CTS or HCL, they will be having, right? More than that, they will be having. Now, if I have one server, it won't be sufficient, no? 10,000 server logs, I can't put it in one server. So what I will be doing, I will be having a cluster. Okay. What this cluster will do, the cluster 10,000 servers data will be sent to multiple nodes, multiple indexers, and the data will be replicated across these nodes. Okay, because if I send the data to one server, if it is gone, if it is like due to some issue, if it is crashed, my data is gone. So they in advanced concepts, right, we will be having like a replication factor and all those, but for you, just remember like the data will be replicated across multiple nodes Okay, and already my indexer is there. Indexer is getting the data from some 10K servers. If I do a search on this, right, it will be overhead, correct? If I do a search operation from here itself, it will be overhead. So whenever the log gets written into the disk, no, it will be a high IO operation. On top of it, right, if I do a search operation, it will degrade. There is a chance like this operation may slow down. Whenever the log is sent, the log collection operation will be, ingestion operation will be slowed down. So there will be a separate component which is called as a search head. What search head will do, right, whenever a user logs in, okay, he will be giving some load balancer URL under which you will be having like multiple search head. What search head will do, no, search head will fetch the data. If you give something like give me last 1 hour data, then the search head will collect the data and it will execute it here such that it won't get overloaded. Okay, this is called as a search head. Now we have something like a license. How Splunk gets money? It's a proprietary tool, right? How Splunk gets money? Is this the number of, on what basis Splunk will charge money? Is it the number of servers? Like if I have some 10,000 servers, I will be charged some X amount, okay? Or some like if I have something like 50K servers, if I start getting the data from 50K servers, it will be like into 5. No, the Splunk will the Splunk will be charging you based on the data you ingest into the indexer. If you are ingesting 1 GB, here 1 GB, here you are ingesting 1 GB, you are generating something like 1 GB per hour or 1 GB per day. Okay, per day you are generating 1 GB, let's assume. Okay, so 1, 2, 3, 4. Now I have to pay for 4 GB. I will be paying for 4 GB. So here the data generation is 1 GB per day. Means you have to pay for 4 GB per day. Price of 4 GB. It doesn't matter if you are sending the data from one server or 50,000 servers. It is based on the data it ingests, it collects. Okay. Now I have purchased some 5 GB license. Now there should be one meter, or there should be one component which will monitor the how much data is coming. No, that is the duty of this license master. This fellow will monitor, okay, he is sending some 5 GB, or he is sending 3 GB, or if he's sending more 10 GB or something like that, this fellow will monitor, this component will monitor at the indexer level. Okay, and there will be one call, there will be something like a cluster master node. What this cluster master will node, right, if I'm having some cluster of 10 or some 5 or 6 machines, there should be one lead, you know. If there is any project, you will be having one lead, team lead or something. So he will manage the team. In the same way, there will be one component called as like cluster master. This cluster master will maintain this indexer because the data gets collected over here, no. So he will keep a track of like who is getting what out of my 10K, how, like which machine's data is stored where. This guy will keep a track on it. Now there will be one thing called as a deployment server. Now I'm having 50,000 servers, universal forward. See, 50,000 Linux machines, Windows machines, AD servers, Windows 7, Windows 10, like server editions I'm having. If I want to do some configuration, manually I have to log into the servers and perform. Instead of that, right, there will be one component called as deployer component. This deployer component will, so this is the deployment server. This fellow will do that configuration your all your forwarders. Okay, so this admin job is to maintain this one. Once the data gets collected, the developer will be writing the queries. There will be two types of softwares. Actually there will be only two types, even though I'm having multiple components here. There will be only two softwares. One is server edition, one is the client edition. Okay, either it can be indexer or search head or whatever. I will be installing the enterprise edition on my. If I want to send data, I have to install my agent. That is called as a universal forwarder. Got it? So there will be only two softwares. So this is the page where you can download the softwares. If you are new, right, if you don't have account, like you have to give your first name, last name, job title, email address, phone number and zip code and whatever that is required, and you just select and just create an account. It is straightforward. Okay, now I already have. Now the latest version is 8.2. Since last week, right, it was like 8.1.3. 2 days back or 3 days back they have launched the 8.2 version. Okay, so by default, I told you, no, like Splunk will be charging you based on the data ingest. By default, Splunk will be giving you, you can index some 50 MB per day. For a trial edition, you will be having that trial edition for 60 days. After that, right, it will be converted into a free license. Free license, the difference between the free license and trial license means the advanced features will be there, like alerting, reports. Those features won't be available in your free license. Okay, and yeah, the server edition you will be having only three. You can install either in Windows Server or Windows 16 and 19. Either you can install it on Mac. Okay, and in Linux, it is supported in three versions. One is RPM Red Hat. This is Debian packages like Ubuntu and Debian operating system, and this is the generic. So if you download this one, right, you can install it in Red Hat as well as in the Debian package. This is a generic version. Okay, this is the server side. Means if I have this if I download this project this package, I can convert into search head or indexer or heavy forwarder or cluster master or deployment server. For all these component, this is only the software. And there will be one thing called like an agent. Here it is compatibility will be more. Okay, so if you see, right, server edition, it supports only three platforms. If you see agent, it is just a 70 MB, 59 MB lightweight program. It is like 20 MB or like 30 MB. If you see server edition, right, it is like 400 or 500 MB. Okay. If you see Windows also, it is something like 300 MB. That's why I told it is a lightweight program. So in Linux, you will be having multiple architectures. Based on the architecture, you have to choose your agent. It supports Solaris, whereas when you go to this Splunk Enterprise Edition, it is not supported in Solaris. But if you are running some application in Solaris, you can send those logs to Splunk. It is same with Mac, FreeBSD and AIX. I'll just give some. Any doubts still now? Okay. So today we will be seeing like overview what it contains. Tomorrow we will be having some lab or installation part we will take. Okay. So if you take certification tracks, these are the multiple certifications that Splunk offers. Core certified user, this can be done by anyone. Power, these two can be done by basic. These two come under basic. Okay. Core user certified and power user certified will be done by like developer, ops team, tester, anyone like security guy also. This is the basic entry level. Okay. Now you will be having something like a core certified advanced power user. So it is the next level of certification. And Splunk actually it supports two things. One is like on premises and cloud. So difference between on premises and cloud is, if it is on premises means you will be taking you will be downloading the software and you will be maintaining the environment. You will be installing the Splunk in your infrastructure in your office. Whereas cloud, no, the data will be the data will be maintained by the Splunk. Means whenever you purchase a license, no, you will be having your multiple components over here. The data will be shipped to Splunk. If it is an on-premises, this infrastructure or this indexer is owned by you. The data will be, the ownership will be with you. If you store, if you go to Splunk cloud, no, this data will be maintained by the Splunk. They will only maintain, just you have to pay. Okay. And this is the Splunk admin. If you see the Splunk admin is something like, I told you, no, admin is the person who will be maintaining that multiple components. And for security people, they will be having separate certifications. Splunk enterprise certified admin. There will be one role called certified architect, certified developer, enterprise security certified admin, ITSI. There are other components like ITSI, Splunk core certified consultant, and Phantom certified admin. So Splunk is having like, it is very big. Okay, it's not a small tool. It is being used by multiple components. If you see here, there will be something like prerequisite would be something like Splunk fundamentals 1. So here, right, you should have something like fundamentals 2 and fundamentals 1. Fundamentals 1 and 2 are the prerequisites. So we will be discussing about this one as well as this certified admin. Okay, for this also the prerequisite is something like Splunk fundamentals 1 or 2, and you should have some basic knowledge on cloud administration. Okay, something like that. Any doubts? So tomorrow we'll see the installation. If I start that, no, first you will understand the concepts, then we'll go to the practical. Like if I do in the same day, due to time constraint, and I have to rush. Any doubts? I'm unmuting. You can ask. Do you have any questions? I'm done.
Sir, what's the fee for this course, sir?
6K.
Okay, okay. Thank you.
So for this side, you should have. Okay. Yeah. So much, Charan. Yeah, you are a security. Doing my. You are working on. Okay, you are doing MS in cybersecurity. Yeah. So there will be a SIEM tool, right? Splunk is an SIEM tool. There will be one more course called as Splunk SIEM. So if you go, and one more thing, right? I forgot to tell. So if I want to, there is something like a Splunk base. Okay, this is the Splunk will be having some app feature. Okay, so if you go to here, right? If you browse by category, right? In DevOps, you will be having some 228 apps. Whereas for business analytics, you are having some 220. Okay, 228, 220. If you see IT operations, right? You are having something like 1396, and security you are having 1400. For utilities and IoT, right? These are the apps. So basically these apps are used to integrate the Splunk with other. So if I go to see all apps, okay, now I'm having something like Linux. So there will be some apps and add-ons. So what this add-on will do, right? It will fetch the data from your Linux machine. Okay. So if there is something like AWS, what this app will do, it will get the data from your AWS. So I told you, like the Splunk will be integrated with multiple components. If you say, if you browse by category, if you go to DevOps, if you search by popular, so these are widely used apps. So they will be using something like Jenkins. If you do Jenkins, no, whenever you integrate Splunk with Jenkins, whenever you run Jenkins, what will happen? It will give you the status, like how many builds are passed, how many builds are failed. Okay, how many? This is how many are passed, how many are stable, how many are aborted, and it will give some trend line. Okay, and it will show if my Jenkins is connected with some 50 or 60 clients. I want to know which one is up and which one is not up during a particular day. So the last 7 days or last 20 days, it will give me the exact details, right? But if I have a standalone Jenkins, mostly it will be storing last 50 or last 100 bills. So I can't get the data of the past, right? Either the slave connection or whatever. So this is the beauty of the Splunk. So it will get and it will store the data. So it will show me like overall cumulatively, it will show me like how many are success, how many are failed, something like that. You will be having something like service now. So like service now, whenever you create a ticket, no, the data can also be fetched like that from routers or even for machine learning and all those, right? Splunk will be used for IT operations, no. uh, If you see, they are using something like Splunk add-on for Linux, Windows, okay, and networks, and AWS, semantic endpoint, Juniper, getting the data from Juniper routers, okay, from IIS servers, Azure. So these are the most popularly used. So we can't discuss everything, but one or two we can discuss in the class. So you have to explore, because there are some around like 3000 apps. We can't discuss everything, right? So this is something like R&D work, basically basic I can give you. So you have to explore based on your project needs. Even if you go to security also, security and fraud compliance, you are having some apps for F5 logs, Big IP, Splunk Enterprise Security. This is the main app for SIEM. For SIEM, this is a Splunk Enterprise Security, as well as Splunk Security Essentials. These two are important. Okay, but this is a separate course itself. For this app, it will be a separate course. There is a course for only this and this. It is something like there will be some 60 hours or 30 hours session explicitly for this. Yeah, that's it from my end. If you have any questions, I will answer, else we'll wind up. Yeah, Splunk, Splunk should be known for someone who like uh, Somachandran. Somachandran has posted like he's doing his masters in cyber security. So you can, they will be contacting you. You have provided your details, no, while logging in. Else you just put your mobile numbers over here. Yeah, that's it from my end, guys. If you have any question, even it is a small thing, also you can ask. I will take. Even it is like minor, also it is fine. And we will be covering the Linux. If you are new to Linux also, we'll be covering some Linux topics also, okay. And you should have some Google Cloud account before the class. Or if you are having a good laptop, right, you can do it locally. Because like for admin, right, you need some 6 or 7 machines, 7 to 8 machines you will be having. 7 to 8 instances you have to have for setting up the lab. So it is not something like one software you will be installing in one server and it is done. You have to install your indexers also three. So when you go to admin classes, either you get one Google Cloud account that is free only for 3 months you will be getting, or if you have some 32 GB RAM and good processor, no, that should be fine. 16 GB also should be fine. Yeah. Okay, guys. Like last, any doubts? Else I'm ending the session. Yeah. Thanks, guys.